Hey, what's up, guys and gals? My name is Ricknineg. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode. We're going to be taking a look at Season 2 of I Love Lucy and my favorite episodes. Now, Season 2, I would say, is even one of my favorite seasons. Not necessarily my favorite season, but I absolutely cannot narrow it down to 10. Of course, I made a list of every single episode and basically ranked them the way that I ranked them. And I would encourage you to stop this video right now, look at all of Season 2. You can look it up online, just look at the names of the episodes and see which ones you like and make a top 10 list. Even make a 15 top 10. Make a top 15 list. There we go. And see if yours matches up to mine or not. I think it's a fun thing. People did it in the first episode or in the first video, and I think in the second one it'll be great if you happen not to do it. So I really want to issue a challenge out to all of you guys. I want to put out the Season 3 favorites after we hit, let's say, 200 likes. If we hit 200 likes, boom, that'll be my cue to release as soon as I can the Season 3 choices. So if you haven't right now, please give this video a big thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. And so the way that I rank them is thinking, let me pick out two random episodes. So Lucy Hires a Maid and Lucy is a Matchmaker. So what I did, Lucy's a Matchmaker, I like that episode. Lucy Hires a Maid, so I would put that below because I would rather see the Matchmaker. And you keep going and you add stuff and you'll find that you'll have a list by the end. And it'll be hard because it'll be like, oh, would I rather watch this or this? And I came up with my top 15. So I'm going to quickly go through the top 5 of the 15 and then go through the top 10, if that even makes sense. So here we go. Number 15. My number 15 choice is Lucy Becomes a Sculptress. Funny episode. Lucy's pregnant at that time and she does a crazy model with Fred. Number 14, The Indian Show. Hilarious. I love the theme, and of course the last Hiawatha scene with Lucy and the Moon, fantastic. Number 13, Lucy's Showbiz Swan Song. Now, of course, the quartet at the end, Lucy surprised them with the mustache, Desi singing in an Irish accent. It's amazing. The saxophone. I love that the whole episode has the saxophone theme going from beginning to end, and they use it in different ways. And of course, seeing Lucy play, it's great. The operetta, such a great thing at the end. You know, of course, they repo everything and they cut it right in the middle of the play. I think that's hilarious, and it's such a great episode. Now, thinking about this episode, Lucy wants new furniture. This is why this is my number 10 choice. It's such a great one. Of course, Lucy always goes behind Ricky's back and buys a coffee table and some new furniture. This is when they're in the new apartment, well, new quote unquote. It's not the windowless one, it's the windowed one. And of course it's great because she doesn't tell him, and of course he doesn't know, and he notices that where's the furniture, and so where's the old furniture, and so she hides it in the kitchen, of course, and she keeps going back and forth through the Mertz's apartment to get things for the kitchen. And it's just a hilarious thing because Ricky finally finds out. He gets super upset and makes Lucy go on a budget, so she makes her own dress, does her own hair. She ends up with a huge afro and a really bizarre looking dress that looks like she made it with her feet. It's just hilarious and kind of nonsensical and very physical in the sense of the comedy that's happening, climbing in and out of the kitchen window and then going around back and forth, and then even at the end with Lucy and just that image of her in the afro and that crazy dress. It's just so great and such a great moment. My number 9 pick, Never Do Business with Friends. In other words, the washing machine episode. Of course, the Ricardos want to get a better washing machine, well, mostly Lucy. And so she goes to the Mertzes and says, hey, you know, let's do something where maybe I can have Ricky buy it, then you can buy mine. And of course, the Mertzes finally buy the washing machine and it blows up in their face. And so they're arguing back and forth, who owes what. Washing machine goes over the banister, and of course, after their big fight, they become friends again. I think that is visually one of the great episodes of seeing a washing machine coming off the second story balcony. So funny and so great. Wait, third story balcony, right? Number 8, the Ricardos changed apartments. The reason I love this is because we see both sets. We see the old apartment set with, I call it the no window set, and then the window set, which they have the extra room for little Ricky when he is born. I think that's great because you see them moving into the new apartment. There's a funny gag going back and forth of how they switch apartments twice, And it's kind of a chaos, but I love that episode because Ricky utters that famous line, "We won't switch apartments." And then Lucy makes fun of it, and it's so hilarious. So I love that episode. Now, this one may surprise you. I do like this one because I think it's forgotten. I don't know how much it's played in syndication. It's called Lucy is Matchmaker. And that is one where she tries to put Sylvia Collins, which we never see. We never even hear her voice. She's like a character that's off screen the entire time. They talk to her on the phone. So Sylvia Collins, and then Eddie Grant, which is one of Fred's old friends, but he's younger in some weird way. I guess, that can happen. And of course they try to fix him up, and there's a mistaken identity, and the guy thinks that Lucy's trying to secretly date him. And of course he's like, oh, that's so scandalous because she's a married woman. But I love this episode because all the way through they're trying to set up Eddie, and then Ricky is fighting with Lucy because he's telling her, don't get involved, you're always trying to matchmake, and even though she does. And then there's a funny scene with the negligees at the end, but this is the first time where they go into the city, I would say, and they actually go into what we would say a restaurant, kind of a department store, and Fred is trying to block Ricky from seeing Lucy while she's talking to Eddie Grant. It's just a great episode, and again, one of my top favorites. Now, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised by this one because it's such a great episode, but let me know if it's on your list. The camping trip. One of the reasons why I love this episode is because of the sneakiness of Ricky trying to get Lucy to hate camping. Of course, she finds out and she tries to one-up him, and she kind of does, and outsmart him. But this is the first time we see the Ricardos, I'm not going to say out of the apartment, because in season 1 we see where Lucy gets remarried, where they go back to Connecticut, and the marriage license, they do their vows again. So it's not the first time they leave their apartment in essence, but it's the first outdoor set, let's just say. They're out in the woods and they go hunting, quote unquote, they go fishing, all these things, and it's lovely to see that. It's nice to see them out of their element. Around half of the episode takes place in the apartment, half takes place outside in the woods, and of course in the studio. But it's such a great episode, I love it, and of course it's about outsmarting the other, and well, they make up at the end, so of course it is great. Now here you go, guys and gals. This is a great episode. Now I think this episode, to be honest, might be higher on your list, but to be honest, I love the episodes ahead of this. This is my number 5 pick, and this would be Job Switching. This is in essence the Candy episode. I mean, I think for everyone who's a big Lucy fan, this is probably, I'm not going to say it has to be, but this is probably in your top 5 list, at least, or at worst, and it's in my top 5. Not because I don't like it. I absolutely love this video. That's why it's top 5, but I love the others a little bit more. There's certain things that I love, and of course, I mean, there's no reason not to love this episode. Not only because of the candy, but you guys also know I really love Fred and Ricky's dynamic and how they're in the exploding rice volcano scene. It's so hilarious. Fred going with the little cup and spoon to try to get it from overflowing, and Ricky with the broom. Kind of one is doing the small choice, the other one's doing the giant choice with the broom. It's just such a hilarious episode. Through and through, non-stop. And so it's so fantastic, and that's why it's number 5. Number 4, this episode's called The Courtroom, but in my opinion, it should be called The Television Set, because from beginning to end, it's television set, television set, television set. And in fact, they say television set or TV probably more than any other episode. It's not that much in the courtroom themselves, but it's about a television set that the Mertzes and Ricardos fight about. The Ricardos give it to the Mertzes as an anniversary present. Of course, after fiddling with it, it blows up, and then the Mertzes, out of revenge, destroy the Ricardos one. And of course, they get upset with each other and go to court. It's a funny courtroom scene. All the way through, it's just funny. It's very physical. It's very mentally stimulating in terms of the dialogue in the courtroom, what Lucy says, what Fred says, even Fred pulling down Ethel's skirt after she lifts it up and say, what are you trying to do, lose the case for us? It's one of the great Fred lines, and absolutely such a great episode. That's why it's so high on my list. All right, here we go, guys and gals, the top 3 episodes, and it is Redecorating. I love Redecorating. Now, this is not redecorating the Mertz's apartment. This is redecorating, well, I guess the Ricardos' apartment. So Lucy is sick of that furniture. Pretty much one season was enough. So she goes and tries to participate in kind of a lottery type show where they give away new furniture. And Ricky's like, well, she's never going to win. But Lucy gets a call saying that she does win, and so she decides to wallpaper the apartment and do all this crazy stuff. Remember, this is the one where they hang the vertical wallpaper sideways, and it's just a mess, but it's such a hilarious episode. We got Mr. Jenkins, played by Hans Conried. It's just a great, great episode, and he plays the junk man, and Ricky has to buy the furniture back, and then he sells it and buys it back. It's just a crazy episode. I love it. Just visually, it's great. Seeing Fred go in the new crooked wallpapered room and he's like dizzy because of the lines. It's just hilarious and funny. Like, it's nonstop laughter, and it's one of my favorite episodes. All right, you ready for my number 2 choice? Ricky and Fred are TV fans. Goodness gracious, how I love this episode. It's to me, it's interesting because the whole time, Ricky and Fred are sitting in front of the TV watching a boxing fight. That's it. And the girls are bored. They want to get the guy's attention. And so they kind of go on this whole adventure without the boys even knowing they're out of the apartment, which I think is great. I think it's genius. I love the back and forth that they go through. The girls go outside. They try to cut the electricity. They get arrested. They go to a cafeteria. That's where they get arrested. They get chased by a cop. They go to a police station. In the police station, they're questioned because they think they're criminals. It's just hilarious. And then they make their way back, and the boys are like, "Oh, thanks for not bothering us." It's just so great. To me, it's just funny to see them not so much as couples, but to see them as boys kind of versus girls in a way. But in a sense, they're having their own adventure. The girls kind of have an adventure that did turn out so great, and the boys had an adventure just sitting there, and they both ended up in the same place. And at the end, they both hugged and kissed each other, and it kind of worked out. So, I don't know. I love this story, and I mean, it's my number 2 choice because of that. It's just such a well-written episode, in my opinion. What do you guys think about that one? And finally, number 1. Can you guess my number 1 choice? Honestly, let me know in the comments. After knowing my top 15, what am I missing? I'm missing a lot of episodes, let me tell you. There were 31 episodes in Season 2. I've named about half of them, and we have one more to go. What did I choose? I absolutely love this episode. Now, I was torn. I was torn between a lot in my top 5, to be honest with you, okay? So I'm not going to say that hands down, let's say job switching is not as great as this episode. This episode just through and through, I think it's copied so much. In any sitcom that you see, there is a handcuff episode, and it was started with Ricky and Lucy. And they spend most of the episode, 100% of the time, together. And it's so great. Let me go through all the scenes. It's a great one. We start with Fred doing magic tricks, and of course he fails. And that's where the handcuffs are introduced. Then Lucy doesn't want Ricky to go, so she handcuffs him and says, "You can't leave now." But unfortunately, she can't get it off. So they have to sleep in their handcuffs, and they do this funny undressing scene. Right now, we just have right there 3 great scenes. Then from there, they wake up, and Mr. Walters comes, and he's the sheriff also from the Tennessee episode. Who gets him into the sheriff's office. But it's great because he's a locksmith. He's trying to open that up, and he can't. So they have to go to the studio, and then Ricky is hilarious because Lucy's behind him, and there's a curtain, right? And we see the whole hand going between her armpit. And to me, it's just genius comedy, guys and gals. It really is. The fact of Lucy not uttering one word and being so hilarious with her hands. I love silent comedy, not to say that I don't like comedy with words in it, but I think that Lucy is so funny in this. She doesn't need to say one word, and she works with Ricky. Think about that. They're a team. They're such a great team together, and they both make us laugh. His straight man character and her comedic character, they just come together and make one of the most iconic scenes on the show that I believe is underrated. So let me know what you think. The handcuffs, I absolutely love. My favorite episode to watch from Season 2. What's your list? Again, I want to know in the comments. Let me know. Help me to hit that 200 mark. We can so do it. We can absolutely do it. Last episode, at least at this time, got around 1,000 views. So if everyone likes it, it can get tons more. So just asking for that support. Thank you so much, guys and gals. I am so happy to share these with you. And I look forward to reading your favorite episodes because I had a ball reading yours in the first video. So I'll see you all next time. Thank you, guys and gals. Push through any difficulty. Push through any struggle that you may be going through. We're all going through them. big or small. I have my issues, you have your issues, but the purpose is just to stay positive and to move forward. All right, I'll see you next time, guys and gals, and don't forget, be hope.